Lika Shri Vishakha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavari Vrishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My special master opened my eyes with torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatam Ham Vande Shri Gurun Din Taranam. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we will continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8. So we did up to verse number 3, right? Last time?
Yes.
Yeah, so someone wants to say something before we start verse number 4. So, because in 7th chapter towards the end, Krishna spoke about these terms, Brahman, Adhyatma, that. So Arjuna, in the beginning of chapter 8, he asks the question about all these, Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, Adibhuta, Adideva, and Adiyagya, right? And then Krishna is answering Arjuna's questions. So actually speaking, like last time we were speaking about this Adhyatam and all that, right? And Gayatri Mataji, you were speaking about that in this verse it says this, in this verse it says this. So by, coincidence, I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which chapter I was reading? Yeah, that Atmarama verse. I think it is chapter 25 in Madhya Lila, 24 or 25. Yeah, so there, that Atma, for that verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes many meanings. That Atma can mean a lot of different ways we can understand Atma depending upon what context we use it in. So it's like mind-boggling for me that how he describes that Atma can mean so many different. There are so many ways to describe Atma actually. So it's, if one Acharya says this, one Acharya says that, at some place Atma is described as this, at some place Atma is described as this. So that's, I don't think there is any problem, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is speaking like that. So yeah. So this section 1 to 4, Krishna is answering Arjuna's questions. And then we will have a very beautiful section from 5 to 8, remembering Krishna at the time of death. So something that was really striking for me. Anybody wants to share anything before we continue to verse number 4?
No, Mataji.
Anybody else other than Bhagavati Prabhu? So who all do we have today? Okay. Okay, so should we begin? Gayatri Mataji, should we continue? From verse?
Yes, let's continue.
Okay, so let me share my screen and then we'll continue. Okay, so here is the screen. We will, 1 second, let me size it properly. Okay, so verse number 4, someone would like to read?
I can read, Mataji.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhu.
Adhibhutam ksharo bhava purushashchadhi daivatam adhiyagno ham evatra dehe deha vara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of the sun and moon, is called Adi Deva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yagna, the Lord of Sacrifice. Purport: the physical nature is constantly changing. Material bodies generally pass through 6 stages. They're born, they grow, they remain for some duration, they produce some byproducts, they dwindle, and then they vanish. This physical nature is called Adhibhuta. It is created at a certain point and it will be annihilated at a certain point. The conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and the different planets, is called Adi Devata. And present in the body, along with the individual soul, is the super soul, a plenary representation of Lord Krishna. The super soul is called the Paramatma or Adi Yagna and is situated in the heart. The word Eva is particularly important in the context of this verse because by this word, the Lord stresses that the Paramatma is not different from him. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, seated beside the individual soul, is the witness of the individual soul's activities and is the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. The super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and witness his activities. The functions of all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord automatically become clarified for the pure consciousness devotee engaged in the transcendental service to the Lord. The gigantic universal form of the Lord called Adi Devata is contemplated by the neophyte who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as Super Soul. The neophyte is advised to contemplate the universal form or a Virat Purusha, whose legs are considered the lower planets, whose eyes are considered the sun and the moon, and whose head is considered the upper planetary system. Yeah, Mataji, here Krishna is giving the answers to the other questions of the meaning of Adhibhuta. The Adhibhuta, the meaning is basically saying the physical nature, which is constantly changing. You know that the material bodies go through 6 stages generally. They are born, they grow, they remain for some time, they have byproducts, then they dwindle, and then they vanish. So that is Adhibhuta. Then he describes Adi Deva, which is basically the Virat Roop of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, the different parts and parcels of Krishna's body, and all the different planetary systems, like the starting with the Patala being the feet, and then the Brahmaloka being the upper head of Krishna. So that is the material form of the Lord, that is Adi Deva. And the Krishna is giving the definition of super soul. Basically, he's saying he is the super soul who in his partial manifestation resides in the heart of every embodied being, and he is called Adi Yagna because he is witnessing all the activities, just like in I don't remember which Upanishad is, like the 2 birds sitting on a tree. We the soul is enjoying the fruits of the activities, and Krishna as the super soul is just witnessing our activities. He's there to inspire us to go back to Godhead, but we have to listen to our consciousness. We have to remove all those coverings to be able to listen to the Supreme Soul, to the super. That's all, Mataji.
So basically the adiyagya, like all this we heard in the Bhagavatam second canto also, right? How that super soul actually gives us all anything, any thoughts, anything that we are able to do is actually super soul is providing all those things. We cannot do anything without the super soul in our heart, right? And at the same time, the super soul is not interfering with our free will, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how we understand that Krishna is the ultimate governor of all changing material nature also, right? No matter how powerful we can be, but we cannot stop the changing nature of material manifestation. It will keep going on and on and on. If the changes happen, devastation, degradation, everything happen. And also these demigods are like, as Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, they are actually in that gigantic form of the Lord. So worship of the Lord, whether like in Bhagavatam second canto, first chapter, it is described that if one does not have any conception of the personal form of the Lord, then they are they are directed to contemplate on the gigantic form, that universal form, the Virat Rupa of the Lord, right? Just to come to that there is a form. Krishna is not formless, the Supreme is not formless. So in that form, everything is included, the demigods and all the other parts and parcels. Just as by watering the root of the tree, it distributes energy to all the tree, other parts of the trees also, when we water the root of the tree. So same way, if we worship the Supreme Lord, all his part and parcels and demigods and everything will be nourished by that water and will be pleased by that. So and then also that where does that question, one of the question was Arjuna asking that where does that super soul reside, right? That also was there, right? So it's present in the bird, as you said, Prabhu, that sitting in the same tree, the two birds. So it's present in the body along with the individual soul as the super soul, a plenary representation of our loving Lord Krishna. So, and it is called Paramatma or Abhiyagya, and it is situated in the heart, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I think. Somebody wants to add something to it?
Yes. So when I look at the word adhibhuta, can you go up?
Which one? Which word, Mataji?
Bhuta.
Hare Krishna?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear Mataji.
So yeah, can you go to translation?
Yeah.
So here the adhibhutam, it says the basically the material manifestation.
Yes.
Which doesn't say much. I mean, I think that it doesn't say much, but when we go to back to the verse 30 of the previous chapter, Krishna says that the one who meditates on me as on the, what does it say? As on the governing principle of the material manifestation.
Yeah.
So there is a big difference between just material nature and the governing principle of material nature or material manifestation.
Yeah, so Sa Adibhuta is the governing principle of material manifestation. Adidevam governing all the demigods.
Well, Adhi-daivam and Adhi-yagyam is very similar, the translation here
governing
and
governing
the
all
only difference is the Adhibhuta, which I see that in the verse number 4, Krishna is talking about himself in all the, he is Adhibhuta, he is Adhidaiva, and he is Adhiyagya. However, the translation is more proper in the verse 30 rather than here. I mean, I would, if we are talking about Adhi, which means above, it already above the material nature or the governing principle of the material nature. So just saying that Adhibhuta is just material nature.
Manifestation. Yeah, actually, what I understand from that, Mataji, is that yes, that Adhibhuta, here it is saying material manifestation, but actually material manifestation cannot exist by itself, right? There has to be something governing it. So
well, that should have been written here. That's the governing principle of material manifestation.
I mean, like, yes, but as of my understanding that it's kind of like, meaning, yes, these things are there, but at the same time, they cannot be independent. And then it says the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adideva.
Yeah, that one is exactly the same as in the previous, is in the verse 30. The only difference is I mean, to me, it's completely two different things, material nature and the governing principle of material nature. Totally different things, because I can see that the governing principle of material nature can be Krishna and is Krishna. However, material nature, I do not see it as Krishna. I mean, I think don't see this
really have to hear what is his name? Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, actually, to understand this. I mean, for me also, I don't have anything extra to add here. So whatever way Srila Prabhupada writes, that's how. For me, I mean, I don't have anything further to add in this, but we'll see if I can try to hear Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, or any of you, if you get chance to hear.
Yeah, Mataji, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gives like word by very detailed.
Yeah, he gives like detailed thing. Why is it like that? Or if I get to a chance to, like, let me see 1 second. This
does he have like Bhagavad Gita word to word translation, or like does he have like
he explains why it is like this. 1 second.
He has the Bhakti Shastri course on YouTube, Mataji.
If can you post it on the in the group?
I can post the YouTube link.
Okay, thank you.
So I have here Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary, and so let me just read that and see if that gives some clarity. So this is 8.4, right? So 8.4, what he says is, so 8.4, his translation reads, Baldev Vidyabhushan's translation reads, this is, Gita Bhushan, this is commentary, Baldev Vidyabhushan. Adhibhuta refers to the temporary material body. Adhideva refers to universal body of the Lord. I means Krishna. On the other hand, am the Adhiyagya, situated in the body, O best among souls. So he also says that Adhibhuta is the temporary material body, Adhideva is the universal body of the Lord, which is the Virat Rupa, and Adhiyagya is the Supreme Lord, situated in a body.
Well, that's completely different. Material manifestation includes everything, but material body includes only. I mean, that's even different from material manifestation. And I mean, material manifestation includes everything: the sofa, the building. I don't know, everything which is
everything.
However, material body is. So, and why is it Adhibhuta, the material body? Like, I mean, I would understand if it is just Bhuta, and why is the material body is Adhibhuta?
I don't know, Bhaiya. Whatever Srila Prabhupada says, I only understand that much. And we might have to consult somebody who is expert in this subject matter. So, okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So 1 second, let me read this translation again. Those in full consciousness of me who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be governing principles of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Yeah, and then here it is the physical nature which is constantly changing. What I understand that actually then, okay, so basically it's like I was saying before, that these things cannot exist by themselves. And if we understand that all these, the governing principle is actually Krishna of all these, that is what it kind of represents here. Anyways, so we have to actually hear somebody who can explain it better. All right, so should we go on to the next verse? So next section from 5 to 8 is remembering Krishna at the time of death. Beautiful verses 5 and 6. Someone wants to read?
I can read.
I can read one.
Yeah. Either of you, please.
Go ahead, Veena.
अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरणमुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्ते अत्र संशयः. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Purport. If in this verse the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed, anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smarana, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree. Tarorave Sahishnuna. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Mata, you want to say something?
Yeah, it's very, very important verse. Srila Prabhupada said, like end of his life, if we have to remember Krishna, then for our whole life, we have to practice Krishna consciousness. Only and only then we can remember Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot remember Krishna. So we have to practice Krishna consciousness. We have to remember Krishna. We have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for our whole life, and then we can. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said there are so many impediments come when we chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but we have to tolerate all these impediments, and we have to continue chanting. Then and then only we can success in our end of our life, and we can remember Krishna.
Yeah. So how to remember is
Hearing and chanting. Yes.
Yeah. So actually that in order to be able to remember Krishna, we have to become pure. So it is remembrance will not come if it won't be possible if there is impurity, and if we have not practiced devotional service, then it's like it can be just like for some sometimes it may happen, but we don't know, right? That honorary degree one can get sometimes, but we cannot take a chance, right? So therefore, we should practice that Krishna consciousness, constantly chanting Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he is writing the whole Hare Krishna mantra 2 times. So generally people don't like to repeat, right? It's called redundancy, the fault of redundancy, but it is so important. That's why Srila Prabhupada is writing again, right? And also, I think it will be in the next purport. Srila Prabhupada writes about becoming tolerant, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. So anyways, we will read it in the next verse.
I have a question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji says in the translation that if remembering, whoever remembers Krishna at the time of his body attains mind nature. What does Krishna specifically mean by attains mind nature?
Yeah, what I remember attaining his nature, that what I have heard, it says that attaining Krishna's nature means actually will attain the qualities of Krishna, like one becomes sinless, one becomes ageless, one becomes deathless, one is without grief, without hunger, without thirst, blissful, and his desires are instantly fulfilled. So this is what I have heard. I think it is in some of the Acharya's translation or commentary. Let me see. In Baldev.
So basically, since we are qualitatively one with Krishna, so when we attain that purity, then we get those minute qualities manifested in us.
Prabhu, say that again. Sorry, I didn't.
Now, what I'm saying is, because we are qualitatively one with Krishna, so does it mean that when we are pure and we remember Krishna at the end of our life, we become completely pure and attain the same qualities as Krishna, right?
Yeah, I mean, even though we have the same qualities, but because of the contamination, material contamination, it is impurities, right?
Right.
It has been impure because we are not sinless right now in this material body. We are not deathless. We are not, I mean, the soul is, but because discovering is not.
Right.
And when we attain that nature of Krishna, then we will have the complete spiritual nature, complete spiritual body, which is deathless, ageless,
Okay.
and which has no hankering, no hunger, no grief, no pain. And it is blissful, Satchid Anand, right? Our soul is still Satchid Anand, but we are in discovering which is not, which is total Satchid Anand, right?
So we'll get when we get the
spiritual nature.
Exactly. That's because we are qualitatively one with Krishna, so we'll get those qualities, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I have heard. I mean, I have not realized it, but whatever I have heard, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so this is actually what I said is Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary says that. It's not my words or anything, but it is Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary of attaining Krishna's nature.
Okay.
Hey Krishna Mataji, so when we say the soul is contaminated, is it the covering is the mind intelligence
And false ego, yes. The gross and the subtle, yes.
Okay.
The identification means soul is still pure, but we are seeing the soul through the lens of subtle and gross body, right?
Right.
Yeah. And in Srila Prabhupada, one lecture in Geneva, he says that this is the ultimate goal of Krishna consciousness, that Antakale, at the time of death, at the end of life, Antakale Chamam, unto me, Antakale Chamam Eva, certainly Smran, you will remember Krishna. Deity worship is especially meant for this purpose, so that you go on worshipping the deity of Radha and Krishna, and then you will be able to think of Radha and Radha Krishna always within your heart. This practice is needed. So Srila Prabhupada speaks in a lecture in Geneva in 1974 on this chapter, Bhagavad Gita chapter 8. And also, I mean, all of us have heard that multiple times, I guess, that why is there a morning program, Mangalarti program Srila Prabhupada has given is that he says that why should we attend Mangalarti is to have the impression of the deities, meaning we take the darshan of the deities, and means we see the form, beautiful form of the Lords, and then we do our daily duties and all that. So we capture that impression in our heart, and the whole day we keep that going on in our heart. So that's why it is important to have that deity darshan in the morning and Mangalarti in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. So 1 second, I will read this whole thing, what Baldev Vidyabhushan says. So he writes in this verse 5 that this verse answers the question, how can one know you at the time of dying? So Krishna says, I being known at the time by knowledge in the form of remembrance, bestow the result, your attainment of my nature. Means if we remember him, then he is going to bestow the attainment of his nature, which is those 8 things that he says. Mad bhavam in this verse means my nature. He who remembers me attains a nature like mine with 8 qualities. He becomes sinless, ageless, deathless, without grief, without hunger, without thirst, blissful, and his desires are instantly fulfilled. Yeah. So basically attaining Krishna's nature, because if one is associating with Krishna, whatever we associate with, we get that, right? We
Right.
like that. So that's what actually the impurities will go away, and the purity, one will be situated in the true nature of the spirit soul. Okay, so now the next verse, someone wants to read?
I can read, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam tyajanti ante kalevaram tantam ivatiti kunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Translation purpose by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Purport. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that the person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is the point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaj Bharata, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life, and so in his next life he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although the deer he remembered his past activities, he had to accept the animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence only one's thought at the moment of death. So this life creates next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of the death, at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. This is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service. One is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next life will be transcendental, spiritual, and not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life.
You want to say something, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. So here is said that whatever we remember at the end of our life while quitting this body will be that state will attain without fail. And Srila Prabhupada says, in order to be transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme, we have to, at the end of our life, quit this body thinking and remembering your faith alone. And this can only be done if one has practiced his whole life. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. And the easiest process, of course, is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That much, I have to say that much.
Yeah. So, so basically, the remembrance will be of what we are actually attached to. So this life of practice of sadhana bhakti is to get attached to Krishna. So whatever actually, like I couldn't watch that video because it was on the Twitter and I wasn't able to get to Twitter that Shakti Prabhu sent. Somebody remember the whole thing, what it was?
No, I've not watched Mataji. The
Neha
flashing of the light.
watched. When Neha is there or no?
Yes, Mataji, I'm
So
here.
you watched that, right? I think.
Which one, Mataji?
Shakti Prabhu sent like how at the end of life everything flashes through.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
You want to tell something about it?
Yes, Mataji. So basically, it's like when there was a person, he had some heart issues and he was in the scan for EEG in MRI machine. So just when the scan was happening, he passed away. At the same time, his MRI was going on. So they were able to see some brain activities at that time in the scanner. And the brain activities that were shown were that they were exactly like the part of the brain where the memories are being revealed. So they came to a conclusion that the flashes from the past, the whole life, they were being flashing in front of him before he passed away. Yeah, Mataji. So at the end time, like we read from Bhagavatam and hear that flashes, the life, whatever we did, it flashes in front of us. So that is being scientifically proven now. It was so rare to be proven because there is like, you never know when the death is going to approach. But in this rare case, he was in the MRI scanner, so they were able to like see it.
Yeah. So that is why it says Srila Prabhupada says that we should always be thinking of Krishna and chanting and all that in the mind. It should always be like that. So I would read a letter that one of the devotees wrote on his deathbed. So it's a letter written by a devotee on his deathbed to his friend. And it is taken from some lecture of some devotee, I don't know whose, but it is. I have to tell you about, so this devotee on the deathbed is writing to a friend. I have to tell you about the place I am staying in. It's a huge hospital, like a factory. It is next to a soulless suburb. Some of the people are in horrible shape. At night, people are screaming and crying. The jaws of karma are chewing them. Amazingly, I am not losing my mind. I never felt so strong spiritually. Every day I drink the nectar of Srila Prabhupada's words in the Gita. This is the true remedy for all diseases in life. This body has to go anyway. Anxiety is not necessary. Every living entity taking birth has to die. The issue is not to live and die. It is to know and realize who we really are. We have to concentrate our minds on Krishna, his beauty, and develop a loving attraction for him. Of course, we have to serve the devotees when we can. This is what pleases him the most. This is what pleases Krishna the most, serving the devotees. Never should we criticize someone engaged in his service, faulty or not. Mental offenses as well as verbal fall down, and misery. So basically, mental or verbal offenses will actually create a fall down and misery. So then he writes, I beg you to consider all this and think about your life. I am experiencing these trials for my benefit and for yours. Please be serious in your devotional life. please make as much progress as you can while you are able to function as a normal human being. Read the Gita again, take notes, collect the verses that inspire you the most, chant your heart out in front of the beautiful Krishna Balaram and serve Guru Maharaj to the best of your ability. Then you will be safe and peaceful all your life, and at the time of your death, and your mind will be fixed as well as your destination. Don't lose a minute. There is no time to waste. The clock is ticking. Death is the most serious thing in your life. This is what we have to prepare ourselves for. Here, people are trying to forget their anxieties by getting deeper into illusion. They watch TV on their deathbed. They do crosswords. They read mundane magazines like Inquirer or Globe. This is so sad. They listen to music and try to absorb themselves in material sound vibration. But it does not do any good. Their anxieties are limitless. I had some period where I felt worried about my health, but I was never scared in a big way. It's not that I am very courageous. It was just Krishna protecting me in the form of his holy name. In the worst times, I chanted mentally the Maha Mantra over and over again, and I felt secure. Either I would have died thinking of Hare Krishna or lived thinking of Krishna. So why worry Hare Krishna? So, and Srila Prabhupada generally, actually Krishna has to enter our consciousness very deeply for us to remember Krishna at the time of death. Because as we have discussed many times earlier, that the bodily function, like last time also we were talking about that, how the bodily function and the mind and everything will be not functioning. So then we should be chanting from the heart. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. This is beautiful. Can you share this in the group?
I will try to do that.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, it's beautiful. Very beautiful.
And
Yeah,
I shared
this was shared in our Bhakti Shastri class by Prematarini Mataji.
very nice. And Mataji, I shared the lecture from Chaitanya Prabhuji into the
Okay.
okay 8127.
So we will all try to hear, and then next time we can discuss that, hopefully Krishna willing. So actually this Krishna has to enter our consciousness in order for us to remember him. That attraction and that attachment has to happen, and that will happen. And our Gayatri Mataji so kindly all the time, she will find every day such beautiful pictures of the deities, and wow, I feel so amazed. I don't put any comments on the group because of whatever reason, but yeah, I feel just so amazed, Gayatri Mataji, at your this service and your mood of finding those and sharing. Definitely, then you have that great attachment to the beautiful form of the deities. That's why you do it. So thank you so much for that.
Mataji, thank you for your kind words. The real service is the people who paint all of those.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yes. So how much devotion and dedication they will be having, right? That they are painting such beautiful pictures. Yeah, amazing.
Mataji, I have a question.
Yeah.
So this about consciousness, right? I was reading chapter 2. So soul gives us consciousness, right? Is consciousness coming from our soul? And this is also talking about our consciousness at the time of death. So like only human beings have that higher consciousness that they can.
The highest consciousness, yes. The highest developed consciousness is in human life, and that is why we are having that responsibility of self-realization and God realization.
So because the soul is the same in the animals and the humans. It's just
Yeah,
that
it just got
Krishna is making them
covered.
forget
Yeah,
in the
covered.
animals.
It's covered. It's covered.
So in the animals, it is covered. That consciousness is covered because
It's
Krishna
typically
engages.
covered. Yeah.
And even in the human form for the babies and like till they become like read the scriptures, so still it is
No,
covered.
no. That's not true. Because some babies, they when they are born, you may see that, right?
Yeah, they're automatically
They are
inclined towards Krishna.
automatically inclined immediately. Like there are you might have seen those videos when the parents are chanting Hare Krishna, they are okay, and as soon as they stop, they will start crying.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. So and if you read that third canto, one of the chapters which describes the situation of a baby in the womb of the mother, actually if some the soul in the womb is some who has done some devotional service in their previous lives, um, they would actually pray to Krishna in the womb, and as soon as they come out, because of the pampering of the parents, the child forgets the pain that the child went through in the womb. Everybody should read that chapter, actually, especially those who are parents.
Mataji, I think what I have heard or read is that regardless whether they have been in contact with Krishna or not, like in the womb,
Like, no,
they
not.
pray because it is such a suffering that please get me out of it, and then
Yeah, but depending upon how God conscious they were, actually, how
Hmm.
they do, but depending upon the intensity depends on if how much how much Krishna consciousness they had, means the God consciousness, I wouldn't say Krishna consciousness, God consciousness they had before. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji.
That's because we carry our mind and intelligence
Mind
on the same.
intelligence, and yeah, that is there too, right? But yes, and also we all have that experience when there is difficulty in life, then we call out to Krishna feelingly, like Queen Kunti says in her prayers, that when Janm Ashwarya Shruta Shribhir is not there, then one can call out feelingly. It's not that one should not have, but the shelter should not be that, actually. One can be millionaire, billionaire, or rich and beautiful and intelligent and all, but the shelter is not that. Shelter is Krishna.
Right. Thank you, Mother.
So where is our shelter? Okay, so let's quickly read this one more, and then we can do the chanting one
Can I
round. Oh yeah, sure.
therefore
That's my
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कलेषु माम् अनुस्मरायुधा च मैं अर्पिता मनोबुद्धिर् माम् एवश्यसि अशामस्य संशया. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Purport. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities or engagement. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt.
Haribol. You want to say something
Yeah,
quickly?
it's Krishna Bhagwan is telling Arjuna to always think of him, and at the same time he should not run away, and uh, he has to deliver his prescribed duty of fighting, and at the same time he has to keep his mind and intelligence fixed on me. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining this is also like some people try to misuse their like that like ISKCON temple is making kids or the youth to become brahmacharis or like vairagya and all that. So this explains clearly that Krishna is saying that you should never run away from your prescribed duties or engagement. You have to fulfill whatever your duties are. At the same time, you also have to keep engaged in the Krishna consciousness by serving him.
Yeah.
And
So,
Mhm.
So this verse is speaking about how should we practice remembrance of Krishna. In the previous two verses, we heard that remembrance of Krishna has to be there, otherwise we will lose the chance. So this verse is talking about how should one remember. And then the question can come, should I remember Krishna while doing my duty or do the duty for Krishna? What does it mean? What does it mean to remember Krishna and work at the same time? So remember Krishna and then fight or engage in prescribed duty. How do we do it?
We should do. Sorry, go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu. Yeah.
I think we should do our duty thinking of Krishna and offering it everything to Krishna. Right? Everything we do is offering to Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, like Mataji, the video that Shubha Vilas Prabhuji shared where that lady is like working at the airport, even that is like mundane job, but she is doing it as
She
an
is
offering
doing
to
it
God.
as an offering to
So
Krishna.
that kind of inspired me a lot, like how it's like a mundane job, but still she's offering it to Krishna or like the God, whatever her belief is. So that is like very live example to take it, like whatever you do, just do it as a service. Even though sometimes I wonder, like I'm just doing like mundane things at home or like doing whatever that we need to do in our life to sustain, but how like you can try to keep connecting every single thing. That was very inspiring.
Yeah. So what is the practical way of remembering Krishna is one thing that Krishna says in this verse is we shouldn't give up our prescribed duties, right? So then what should we do? Remember Krishna, like even though sometimes we are chanting, but we are completely spaced out, not thinking of Krishna at all, just the tongue is moving and there is no remembrance of Krishna, right? So remember when we are chanting the names, that whose name are we chanting, that, and then when we are hearing, reading, whatever we are doing, even for few minutes, then we should do it with attention, actually remembering, actually thinking of Krishna and thinking of him and really paying attention. And then actually then if we do this, then Krishna will remind us by his own potency because he cares for us. It's not that, and Krishna says in 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham vidhi sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So we cannot do it on our own, but only thing is we have to put our efforts, full efforts, faith with faith. So no prior purification is necessary. Remembering itself is purifying. So when we are remembering, that will be purifying us and it awards entrance back to Krishna's abode. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that the mind creates the decision to think of Krishna. The intelligence creates the determination to remain fixed in thinking of Krishna. So we have to make our mind actually fixed on Krishna. And that intelligence, we need to sharpen our intelligence, spiritual intelligence, right? So in a lecture, in Krishna, Srila Prabhupada in a lecture says, therefore we have to practice remembering the Lord always. It is in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita actually. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always, 24 hours a day, by chanting his names and molding our life's activities in such a way that we can remember him always. If a married woman is attached to another man, or if a man has an attachment for a woman other than his wife, then the attachment is to be considered very strong. One with such an attachment is always thinking of the loved one. The wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him, even while she is carrying out her household chores. In fact, she carries out her household chores even more carefully so her husband will not suspect her attachment. Similarly, we should always remember the Supreme Lover, Sri Krishna, and at the same time perform our material duties very nicely. A strong sense of love is required here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, it's almost 8:30. So let's chant one round, dear devotees. Thank you all very much. So we will try to hear that lecture by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and then so we will chant one round.